In this chapter, we will be looking at how the TEKS have been revised. So let's begin with what are the TEKS? The Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, TEKS, are the state standards for what students should know and be able to do in each subject and grade level. The Texas State Board of Education, SBOE, has legislative authority to adopt the TEKS for each subject of the required curriculum. The SBOE periodically reviews and revises the TEKS for each subject area. So let's begin with looking at the differences between the 2010 English Language Arts Reading TEKS strands and the 2019 strands. As you can see in 2010, there are 5 strands: reading, writing, oral and written conventions, research, listening, and speaking. Now, in our newly revised TEKS 2019, you see there are 7 strands: foundational language skills, comprehension skills, response skills, multiple genres, author's purpose and craft, composition, inquiry, and research. When we look a little deeper into what the foundational language skills, those skills encompass the students will be developing oral language through their listening, speaking, and discussion, developing word structure knowledge and phonological awareness, students using newly acquired vocabulary expressively, also reading, writing, and thinking, being fluent in those areas, and also reading grade appropriate texts independently. When we think about the comprehension skills, we're thinking about the student using those metacognitive skills to help develop and deepen comprehension of increasingly complex texts. The response skills allows the students to respond to an increasingly challenging variety of sources that are read, heard, or viewed. Multiple genres, here's where the students are recognizing and analyzing literary elements within and across increasingly complex traditional, contemporary, classical, and diverse literary texts. When we think of the author's purpose and craft, here the student is going to be using critical inquiry to analyze the author's choice and how they influence and communicate meaning within a variety of texts. Composition, here the students are using the writing process recursively to compose multiple texts that are legible and uses appropriate convention. Lastly, inquiry and research. Here, the student engages in both short-term and sustained recursive inquiry processes for a variety of purposes. Let's look at some further differences of the old TEKS. With the old TEKS, we can see that text complexity is addressed only peripherally, so its role in literacy development has been widely misunderstood and underestimated. The TEKS appear vertically linear, but vertical alignment is often weak. Relationships or connection across the knowledge and skills and literacy domains are unclear and murky. The overarching goal, which is literacy, is not adequately addressed. The standards are organized using a silo approach to content standards, which encourages the isolated teaching and learning of the content and skill. And lastly, each literacy competency, the content, the skills, the reading genres, the writing purposes, are all articulated as a separate knowledge and skills. So when thinking of the new TEKS structure, here's an important point to remember. While each strand and substrand in the new TEKS represent a distinct literacy focus, the strands are not intended to be considered or taught separately. We want to also remember that the listening and speaking is embedded throughout. Before the conclusion of this chapter, we just want to make reference to multimodal text. All products of language use, that includes written, visual, oral, audio, sign, braille, digital, and multimodal all can be described as text. Therefore, multimodal text includes the combination of a variety of forms of communication, such as print text, digital text, visual images, and audio. And some examples of those is a performance or an event. As you continue in this e-course, we will break the TEKS down even further.